What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Red Crimson 102. Let's talk about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Are you guys hyped up yet? Are you guys ready for Tears of the Kingdom? Are you guys really ready to play Tears of the Kingdom? There's a lot of videos on YouTube. Everybody's talking about it. I see people are hyped. The hype haven't really gotten to me yet, but close to release date, I'm pretty sure that it'll hit me. Now, we all saw the latest trailer for Tears of the Kingdom gameplay, and surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, a lot of people liked it. Me, myself, I actually wanted to see more. And there's a lot of people out there on the fence saying that, you know, they're happy with the presentation that Nintendo showed because they don't want the game to be spoiled for them. I mean, I can understand that. But, you know, you have the other group of people like myself that I'm in. I would love to see more. They should show like a underwater dungeon or a dungeon, a sky dungeon. Show a little bit more gameplay, a little bit more story. That would have been cool. I personally like the reveal trailer they did before they called it Tears of the Kingdom, when it was still called Breath of the Wild 2. A few years back, that trailer was awesome, where you saw Link and Zelda, you know, underground. That was kind of dope. And speaking about that, it seemed like, well, actually, that was around the time where the Switch Pro rumors were circulating. And it turns out that the Switch Pro is actually real, but for some reason Nintendo didn't pull a trigger on it. They just decided to, you know, do a whole next generation thing. And the reason for me bringing up the Switch Pro is because if you look at the first footage they showed of Breath of the Wild 2, the first two trailers actually, that game looked like it was not running on the OG Switch. It looked like it was running on like a Switch Pro or something, because the graphics did look hell of a lot better, especially when he opened up the door and you saw him running and stuff like that and jumping out into the sky, skydiving. And even the trailer when he was walking through, you know, the caverns with Zelda and, you know, Ganon woke up, it looked a lot better. Now if you look at the most recent trailers that came out in the past, well, recently and the past couple of months, the graphics kind of look toned down a little bit. Like you can tell it was running on the OG Switch, but also that can be the uploaded footage. I don't think Nintendo was running the trailers, especially the most recent trailers, in, you know, like full HD, 1080p, 4K. You can tell the resolution was, you know, bogged down. But I would love to see what the game looks like when it's finally done. But the first couple of trailers they showed a few years back, it did look like it was running a more powerful Switch hardware, and it could have been. So yeah, a lot of people are saying that, you know, Breath of the Wild 2, aka Tears of the Kingdom, is a DLC. And I think people this generation is just crazy, because people just like to say things just to say things. A lot of people just say things for clout. A lot of people are 100% capping. People just want to be heard and want somebody to reply, want somebody to reply to them and, you know, comment back to them, just to argue with them, argue their point of, hey, you know, just for the sake of arguing, to be honest with you. But I can also understand why some people would say it's a DLC, because originally it was a DLC. Nintendo had so much cut content left over on the cutting board, and we were supposed to get multiple DLC, just like how we did with the original Breath of the Wild, but Nintendo decided to say, hey, you know what, let's just go ahead and just make a sequel to it. Sort of like what they did with Majora's Mask, because if you can go way back to Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask use the same engine as Ocarina of Time, man. I forgot the name of the guy, but, you know, I guess Nintendo president or somebody at Nintendo said, hey, if you can make a Zelda in 1 year, then we'll go ahead and do it. which he turned out to finish Majora's Mask in 1 year by reusing some assets from Ocarina of Time, right? So if you look at Ocarina of Time, excuse me, guys, I said that backwards. Please forgive me. I meant Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was, running off the same engine as Ocarina of Time and reused a lot of assets. But if you pay attention, just like with any other sequel out there that uses the same engine, they always improve upon that engine when they're using it for a particular game. So yes, Tears of the Kingdom is using the same engine as Breath of the Wild, but I think they improved upon the engine graphically and everything else. Same thing they did with Majora's Mask, akin to Ocarina of Time, because Majora's Mask did look better than Ocarina of Time because they improved upon the engine, and then they had the expansion pack to make it look even better. So it's the same thing here, no different. So, but what Nintendo did was they took all the content, all the ideas they had for DLC for the original Breath of the Wild, and they turned it into a new game, which means all the assets from Breath of the Wild, they also added story on top of it. They added a whole, pretty much just turned it into a full-fledged sequel. And so I wouldn't say it's a DLC at all, and we're bound to find out once the game comes out. But people are just saying that because Tears of the Kingdom was originally DLC cut content from Breath of the Wild, and I hate repeating myself, but I just have to make that clear to you guys. And we can talk about Zelda all day, man, and there's a lot of videos on there on Zelda, but I didn't do a video. I had to do a video on it, and I'm definitely not late to the party. I just want to give you my thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom. So to clarify, man, all Tears of the Kingdom is basically a full-fledged sequel with a reuse, well, actually, with assets, ideas, and content that didn't make it into Breath of the Wild, and they actually slapped a new story on there, or continuum, actually more so continuum of the story from Breath of the Wild, and add a whole bunch of cutscenes, gameplay elements, enemies, and whatnot. So yes, so for all those people out there that's thinking that Tears of the Kingdom is just DLC, it's not. It's a brand new game using an improved engine with all the content from Breath of the Wild into Tears of the Kingdom. So it's a full-fledged game. And I was watching a stream yesterday, and this generation is crazy. Like I said, you had some people out there saying that Genshin Impact is a better game than Breath of the Wild. Come on now, that's just crazy talk. That's just straight capping right there, and somebody looking to get some attention. And you know what? I wouldn't even feed into it, because that's just stupid. I wouldn't even pay that person no attention. When Genshin Impact moved the numbers like Breath of the Wild and can outdo Breath of the Wild, then we can talk. There is absolutely no game better than Zelda. Zelda is one of the best series ever created, and that's a fact. A lot of these games you see out here, these open world games, I mean, from beginning to present, got their idea from Zelda. So if nobody's pulling ideas from Genshin Impact, that game is unimportant. Genshin Impact pulled a lot of ideas, stole a lot of ideas from Zelda, and failed miserably to make it a full-fledged game because it still had the cell phone stink all over it. You can't even compare a cell phone game to a console game. If you like Genshin Impact, that's fine. I played it for a little bit. It was cool. It was nowhere near on Zelda's level at all. It's a cool game. It's okay, but it's a cell phone game, so I don't waste my time playing cell phone games. Zelda as a whole has seniority over most games. It was one of the first open world RPG games. And a lot of people try to hate on Zelda and say that they got their ideas from other games. No, they didn't. Zelda came out even before Skyrim. The idea for Breath of the Wild came from the original Legend of Zelda on the NES back in the 1980s. That's fact. All Breath of the Wild is a modern version of Legend of Zelda on the NES, really. But forget all that, man. I just wish they had showed more gameplay, man, and more stuff. And I understand they're not trying to spoil it, but my thing is they still could have showed more. And for the people who don't want to get spoiled, just don't click on the video. As simple as that. I see so many videos out there where people spoil it for you. They spoil the ending. They put the ending up. I just don't click on it. I think it's stupid. I'm like, wow, that's stupid. Why would you post the ending? But you know what? I don't click on the video. I can understand if the game been out for quite some time. That okay, yeah, then you can check the ending out. But a game just released and you already have the ending up in like 2-3 weeks. Nah, I wouldn't watch it. So just don't watch it. But man, I guess that's one of the reasons why I'm not pumped for Tears of the Kingdom yet, at least. I'm the type of guy, I'm kind of slow a little bit as far as catching on to stuff. I'm usually a last minute kind of guy. So when I know that Tears of the Kingdom is like right around the corner to be released, I think that's when the boy's gonna go crazy. The boy's gonna get hyped. But for right now, I am anticipating it. I'm waiting on it, but I'm not overly hyped. And besides, I have a lot of games I want to play right now. But I already know when Tears of the Kingdom come out, everything gets shut down. Even my buddy in Jamaica, he told me once Tears of the Kingdom comes out, he's taking off a whole month. Wow, that's a play Tears of the Kingdom. Now that right there is hardcore. Sounds good though, but if you can afford to do that, by all means do it, man. But yeah, man. What else can I say about Tears of the Kingdom? My personal thoughts: Breath of the Wild was a phenomenal game. Everybody loved it. I loved it. I've beaten it several times. I'm actually still playing it. And I have the old firmware where I didn't update the game just so I could exploit it. Just like my boy Austin John says, you don't have a secondary save data to exploit the game. Shame on you. That's how you have fun. So right now it's like I'm having fun with Breath of the Wild. I didn't update the game on one of my switches so I can play the game, in its raw element where they had so many glitches that you can exploit because with the latest firmware they fixed a lot of the glitches. So there's some glitches I really want to try and do, like the glitch where you can like push the Guardian to another screen and it just starts spilling out a whole bunch of gears and stuff. I still haven't gotten around to doing that. That seems so hard for me to do, but you can do it on the older firmware but not the latest update. But the things that I would like to see in Tears of the Kingdom, I would like to see dungeons make a return. Mini dungeons, medium-sized dungeons, big dungeons, it doesn't really matter. The shrines, I actually like the idea of the shrines. The idea of the shrines was cool. Basically, Breath of the Wild was based around the shrines, completing those shrines. And I've heard some people say they don't like it, but I don't see how you don't like it. It's kind of impossible not to like the shrines because, honestly, the shrines were ingenious. Like, those shrines had some of the most genius designs, man. Like, no shrine was the same. I believe they had 120 shrines in the game. And for you to make 120 different levels and not make it the same, that in itself is brilliant. Because how many games we play today that is very repetitive? The levels are the same, the design is the same, but no shrine in Breath of the Wild was the same. That is genius to me. And they were all fun to play, all fun to figure out the puzzles. And a lot of the times the puzzle was simple and right there in the face, but you just couldn't see it until you figure it out. I was like, wow, that's all I had to do. I mean, that's just brilliance in itself. The shrine was excellent. And I know Nintendo's probably, look at the comments and say, wow, some people didn't like the shrines or they wanted dungeons to return. I get all that, but what they did with the shrines was beautiful, and I don't think they should get rid of that idea. I think they could do half and half. Have half dungeons and half shrines, more dungeons, or more dungeons and a little bit less shrines. Instead of 120 shrines, you could probably have like 30 shrines and I don't know, the 30 dungeons, if that even sounds right. But if you pay attention to the trailer, the last gameplay trailer, some of the you didn't see the shrines on the map anymore, which kind of makes sense. But I always thought that the shrines would still be there, but there'll be nothing in there. You can't do anything. But it makes sense to pull the shrines out of the game because you exploited the shrines, you completed them, and you got whatever accessory or stamina or life bar out of that shrine. So the shrine is like done away. So it kind of makes sense to get rid of the shrines now. It makes a lot of sense. But I guess it would have been cool if they had just a handful of shrines left over, and you go in there, it looks different, or they have like an opening in there that wasn't there before. That would be cool. But if you paid attention to the last trailer, like I said before, those dungeons weren't there, and like some of the spots that where the dungeons were, it's like you see like a little like it's boarded up or something. I thought that was kind of dope. Like they got rid of the shrine and it just boarded up. I thought that was pretty awesome. But I'm pretty sure they're gonna have newer shrines and different looking shrines, maybe underground, or I don't know, or it might just be done with the shrines all together. Now it's all little mini dungeons. And also remember, some of those shrines in Breath of the Wild were dungeons as well. The last shrine was a dungeon, and there's one shrine that kind of played out like a dungeon as well, where it was dark, and you had a fire rod, and you shoot the fire rod, and wherever the fireball bounced, it will illuminate that corridor or wall. I thought that was pretty brilliant, man. I would like to see combos in Tears of the Kingdom, similar to The Witcher 3, how you can do like executions and move with more finesse when you're doing combos with your sword. I think that was the main things they should have added to Tears of the Kingdom, but we'll see what they do. And I do like how they improved upon the I forgot what you call that thing you can do where with the magnesis, how I remember when we had the magnesis, it was kind of hard to flip the objects, but in this one they made it so much easier to flip the objects. That was a welcome. I really do like that. And I don't know if you're gonna have your power still, because in one of the trailers you did have a magnesis power still, so I don't know if you're gonna have what's it called, a cryogen move, the little freezer move. I don't know. Actually, that was like my favorite one, to be honest with you, but we'll see, man. Like, it seems like matter of fact, I know Tears of the Kingdom has a lot to show that they're not showing. They don't want to spoil it for anybody, and I guess when I think about it, I really can't blame them. But just me personally, being that I know it's going to be a bigger game than the first game, they still should have showed a little bit more just to convince us. But Nintendo, they always do weird stuff. They actually always surprise us, really. So I think we're in for a huge surprise with Tears of the Kingdom. Now, let's talk about the Tears of the Kingdom Edition Pro Controller, carrying case, and the Pro Controller. Well, I still have the first OLED with the white Joy-Cons, which I love, by the way. And I wasn't really impressed with the Tears of the Kingdom Edition OLED. And remember a couple months ago when they showed that leak on purpose, and it kind of, we all thought it was fake. And I thought it was fake too for a minute for a second, because the design on it wasn't really all that. And I was like, nah, man, Nintendo wouldn't put out a special edition Tears of the Kingdom Switch looking like that. But when they showed a full reveal of it, like they showed the whole packaging, I was like, that's when I knew it was real. So they knew what they were doing. Somebody from Nintendo probably leaked that on purpose. And come to find out, the footage of the OLED Switch that they showed turned out to be real. Now, I for one, I don't like the design. It's not bad, but it's not great either. I think they could have done a lot better, especially with the traditional color of Zelda, which is gold. The whole Switch should have been gold. And even a GameStop employee told me, even if they made the Joy-Cons like the Skyward Sword Joy-Cons, but just with the gold and whatever, that would have been awesome. That's actually a brilliant idea, but I do not like the design of the Tears of the Kingdom OLED Switch. And I think a lot of people may feel the same way about me, because that Switch is not even sold out. You can get it. It's either Nintendo mass produced it, or a lot of people felt the same way as me. They wasn't inspired by the design and they decided to, glaze over it, because the Pro Controller, you can't pre-order that anywhere. It's already, the pre-orders are sold out. As far as the case, well, nobody really cares about the case anyway. The case is decent though, but I have so many cases for my Nintendo Switch. I have about like 20 cases for my Nintendo Switch. Now that's crazy. I felt like I was collecting cases for my Nintendo Switch, so I had to stop myself. So this case, I may not even get. I don't know yet. I don't think I need it, so I don't know. I did want the Pro Controller. I did want the Tears of the Kingdom Special Edition Pro Controller, but even the design on that isn't great. I don't know what's up with those little circle designs. It's also on the back of the Tears of the Kingdom OLED. And I was a little bit hesitant on getting it because I didn't like the design. But then when I finally said, you know what, I'm just get it because, hey, I'm a big Zelda fan. It was sold out. So I took too long to jump on that. But it's okay, because the Tears of the Kingdom Edition Pro Controller, it doesn't look great. Just like the console, it doesn't look great. So I can do without it. But if I walk into the store and I can pick one up, I'll definitely get it. But for now, I don't really care about it. But, with all that trash I was talking about, I don't like the Tears of the Kingdom Edition Switch OLED. I went ahead and pre-ordered one at GameStop. And yes, so I did pre-order the Tears of the Kingdom Edition OLED at GameStop. Yeah, I know I'm crazy. The best looking design Switch OLED I've seen is the Splatoon one. I think the Splatoon OLED is the best looking one. And I do like the Mario one, the red box Mario, but that was sold out, so whatever. Those are the two best iterations I've seen of the OLED. Excuse me, guys. Those are the two best iterations I've seen of the Nintendo Switch. The all red Mario one with the red Joy-Cons, that's a must-have. And the Splatoon. But I'm not really a big fan of Splatoon, which is a dope game, by the way. But those are the two best looking Nintendo Switch. And red is my color, so I'll probably go with a red. But the thing is, the OLED doesn't come in red. The standard red box Switch, they have that in all red. But when you have the OLED Switch, you can't go back to the standard red box Switch, which that Switch is still great, by the way, don't get me wrong, but I can't go back to it. So I guess I have to pass on that one. And just maybe in the future I might get the Splatoon one. But it was between me getting the Splatoon OLED or the Tears of the Kingdom Edition OLED. But I guess for me, being a big Zelda fan, it made more sense to go with the Tears of the Kingdom Edition. So yeah, I mean, I do not like the design on it, but whatever, I guess. Whatever, I still picked it up. So yeah, guys, so that's about it on Tears of the Kingdom. I really don't have anything else to say. Everybody was doing a video on this, so I feel as if I had to do a video on it, being that I'm a huge Zelda fan. I'm looking forward to the game just like everybody else. Now, also have people capping, saying that it may not sell more than the original Breath of the Wild. And it really doesn't have to, because a lot of times sequels don't do better than the original. But and regardless, Nintendo's gonna get their money off this game. They're gonna make their money off this game, and there's more Switches out there in the wild, so it'll probably do better than the Breath of the Wild. It doesn't need to. Even if it hits even 20 million, 10 million, that's actually still a success in itself. It doesn't have to outdo Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, it took them 5.5 years to sell 27 million. I don't know if it went past 27 million yet, but I do see, actually, when I think about it, put it like this, guys. The only way I see Tears of the Kingdom outselling Breath of the Wild, the game really has to be a lot better than the original. If it's a lot better than the original and it's a true sequel, and on top of that, they're gonna make it compatible with the Nintendo's next console, which is more powerful than OG Switch. Oh yeah, for sure, definitely, it will outsell Breath of the Wild, because once they come out with Nintendo comes out with their new platform, and they have the firmware to put it in HD, and possibly even running in 60 FPS, looks and plays better on the newer hardware. Oh man, definitely, for sure, it's gonna outsell Breath of the Wild, because when Nintendo finally drops their new console or whatever they're doing, you're gonna need a game to play with it, and chances are there won't be a lot of titles available at launch. So the next best choice is one of the best games ever created to play on a new Nintendo hardware, which will be Tears of the Kingdom, and it has extra bells and whistles, and it will perform and play better, look better on the newer hardware. Oh, for sure. So it's gonna grab sales from the 122 plus million Switches they have out there right now in the wild, and gonna grab more sales as the years go on after Nintendo dropped their new console. So that's it, guys. That's all I'm gonna say about Tears of the Kingdom. Let me know how you feel about Tears of the Kingdom in the comment section. And if you're new to my channel, you already know what to do. Like and subscribe, and let's talk Zelda. See me in that comment section. Peace out. Red Crimson 102.